Hey everybody, welcome back to Anthony's Horror More. Today I'm going to be doing a Scream franchise ranking and a Scream 6 spoiler review. I'm going to be doing spoilers on all of these films, so if you haven't seen any of the Scream movies, I suggest you leave now, come back later if you want, and go ahead and watch the video, but it will be a full-blown spoiler review on every single Scream film, so you've been warned. All right, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share the video around if you don't mind. I'd appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get into this shit, okay? Just so you guys know, I'm a huge Scream fan. I love all these, I love a lot of these movies. I've been watching Scream for a long time. I've seen all of these multiple times, except for the newest one. Obviously, it just came out, but I've only seen it once so far, the sixth film, And yeah, it'll be fun to talk about these. So, coming in sixth place, dead last, is Scream 5. Got a nice steelbook edition there, which is pretty cool. Sorry for the glare, but yeah, I started putting them in these protective cases. I don't know. I think they look really nice in these cases. So, yeah, Scream 5. So, what do I like about Scream 5? I like Dewey. I think Dewey's great in Scream 5. He's kind of this cowboy type character, with his like 6-shooter pistol and I like how he's kind of taking them through the town, all of our new characters, and kind of showing them the ropes and giving his insight on, how to figure out who the killer is and what to look for and all that stuff. I really like that kind of mentor relationship. I really like Jenna Ortega as Tara. I think she's great. She's a very good actress, and she's just starting out, and she's already just killing it. She's great in X. I heard she's really great in that Wednesday show. I haven't seen it, but I heard she's great in that. She's just got a lot of charisma to her. And she does a lot of very simple things that, she does it in Scream 6 too, which I really like. She's just got these little nuances that make her feel like a real person, which I do like. So she's great. I think Chad's pretty good. I don't think he doesn't get a lot of room to shine in this film, but I think he does a good enough job. He's got a little bit of a charisma and stuff to him. It was cool seeing Nev, back, as Sydney, and it was cool seeing Courtney Cox back as Gail, obviously, but they almost, I don't know. It was cool seeing him back, but I almost feel like you didn't really need him in the movie. I mean, it was nice seeing him. It's just kind of cameos, but I think it was good with just Dewey, if I'm being honest with you. Even if Nev had just gotten the phone call from Dewey at the beginning of the movie, and then that was it, we just get like a quick phone call, like, hey, how you doing? Da, da, da. I think that would have been enough, honestly. I think Richie was a great killer. I didn't necessarily love his like whole spiel at the end or whatever, but I loved him as a character in the movie. Like him and Jenna Ortega as Tara were like the two and Dewey, of course. So the three big highlights of Scream 5 to me, because they all have that charisma and everything. Like Richie was just fun on screen. He's playing like that kind of dim-witted boyfriend, like, oh, I don't know what's going on, what are the rules and all this, and he's really funny and charismatic. I liked Richie. It gets a little, kind of cartoonish or whatever, the third act and stuff, but there are people like that. There are people out there that are like Richie and Amber, what I mean, that are like just kind of like these obsessed fans that take things too far and stuff. So it's not a terrible motivation. It just wasn't like, I guess I was expecting more, Melissa Barrera is Sam, Sam Carpenter. I'm not a huge fan of. I just think she's kind of wooden. I think she's kind of like a soap opera type actress. I wasn't a big fan of her in 5. Yeah, just not a big fan. But there's room to improve. It was nice seeing Billy Loomis back, in her visions and stuff, even though he kind of looks, what it is that throws me off it's the teeth. He's got like these perfect white teeth that he didn't even have in the original movie, but obviously, he got some money and probably had his teeth done. It just fucking throws me off every time because he's older and he should not have these perfect white teeth and shit. It just looks really goofy, you know what I mean? I think that's honestly what throws me off more than anything. But kind of a nitpick, but it's just funny. I wondered if anyone else noticed that. But yeah, I'd say this movie's it's in sixth place, but that doesn't mean it's a terrible movie. It just means something has to be last, so. But I really hated the decision to kill off Dewey. That's the thing that really sticks in my craw more than anything. I hate that decision because I would have been fine if you killed Gale off, just because I feel like Dewey just had so much more to offer in these movies. I really do, more than Gale. I mean, Gale, I'm sorry to Courtney Cox, but the way she looks now and everything, it takes me out of it. She just doesn't look like, she looks kind of like a shell of who she used to look like, and it knocks me out of it every time. You know what I mean? And I just don't think her acting's nearly as good as it was in the first 4 films. So I would have rather had Dewey because, David Arquette seemed like he still was giving a shit. Like, he seemed like he was very invested in his character and still having a good time playing him. So I wish they would have just kept him in. But that's enough about Scream 5, because I honestly could ramble on forever about that movie. But we'll leave it at that, just so you have an idea, okay? And then in fifth place is Scream 6, which I don't have a copy of, obviously, but Scream 6, I saw it. This could go up or down, depending, because obviously I've only seen it once, so... but Scream 6, I thought the first 2 acts were pretty good. I enjoyed like I said, spoilers, guys. I really enjoyed the liquor store sequence. I really enjoyed the subway sequence, the ladder sequence, the thing, what happened with Gale in the apartment, in her apartment getting attacked by Ghostface there. I thought all of that was really good. There was actually some suspense, some tension, finally. I wasn't getting a whole lot of that in 5. That was the other thing about 5 is there were a lot of like those like blitz kills where it's just like stab, 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 and then gone. There was no like build up to it. But in Scream 6, I feel like there's a good amount of build up to those kills and stuff. But kind of nitpicking on that same thing is I feel like a lot of people are getting stabbed in this movie. I know other people have bitched about the same thing, guys, but it's like, guys, there are people getting stabbed a bunch of times and they're living. And look, you can, people get stabbed all the time, couple times, few times, and survive. I can buy it if it's just like a couple characters, but dude, everybody in this movie is getting stabbed multiple times and they're all surviving. It's like when you have so many main characters, I mean, you got Gale, you got Kirby, you got Chad, you got Mindy, you got Sam, you got Tara. I mean, you got all these main characters. It's like, I think they could have killed one of them off. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's just a lot of people to survive all these stab wounds. And I knew they weren't going to kill off Mindy because she's gay, she's black, she's a woman. She ain't dying. I'm sorry. This is 2023. They're not killing off the gay black woman. It ain't happening, guys. I'm sorry. I know they killed her, her girlfriend off or whatever, you know what I mean? But they're not going to kill both off. It's not going to happen. So I already knew she wasn't going to die. You can kind of play that game when you know how Hollywood works. You can kind of figure out who's going to live, who's going to die pretty fast. But and it's fine. I'm not a big Mindy fan. I wouldn't have minded if she had just gotten killed off, but I knew she wouldn't, Chad actually stepped it up big time in this because they gave him more to do. I liked his character. He had a lot of charisma to him. Jenna Ortega, same thing. I think she plays that like younger sister role very well, and Sam, I thought they actually gave more to do, and I liked her character a little bit more than I did in Scream 5. I still don't love her. I don't think she stepped up her acting game that much, like some people are saying, but I think she's better than she was in Scream 5 because she had more to do. You know what I mean? She had more dialogue, she had more character development, which Scream 5 was lacking a lot of. So all of these characters had more character development. So whether you like it or not, they were developed, and I think it fits, right? I mean, this is 2023, this is a new generation, this is kind of how new kids are. I'm not, you know what I mean? Not trying to say that in an insulting way or not insulting way. I'm just saying, like, I think they're depicting the new generation well enough. You know what I mean? So some people are going to like that. Some people aren't going to like that. But that kind of is, plus it's New York, so that setting. So I liked the New York look, even though I know it was just pretty much, I guess it could have been anywhere. But there were some scenes where they're out in the streets. The subway scene felt like New York, when they're running in the streets and then they go into that liquor store and stuff. I thought that felt, it just felt a little grimy, a little dirty, not as dirty as I would want it to feel for New York, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, that liquor store scene was great. A lot of good tension there, some great ghost face kills. He uses the shotgun. That was really cool. The ladder sequence when he's shaking the ladder and, when that chick just falls off and splatters or whatever on the ground, like that was a great kill. Oh god, okay, Kirby, we gotta talk about Kirby, right? Yeah, that was bad, guys. I'm sorry. Kirby also, I don't know if she's only like 33, I think, and she looks so much older. I think she's had some like work done too, you know what I mean? And I'm like, God, ladies, please stop doing that shit to yourself. Stop. No lipo, no plastic surgery. Stop that shit. It's fucking bad. And like, I love Kirby from the fourth film. I thought she was great. I thought she was a good replacement to Jamie Kennedy, his character and everything. And Randy, I thought she was a great replacement for Randy. But in this movie, they make her an FBI agent, and it just feels like that could have just been anyone. I mean, and she doesn't even feel like Kirby anymore. I mean, she has a little bit of back and forth with Mindy, which was good up until the Candyman comment. Come on, guys. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Candyman, comparing the Candyman requel to the original Candyman from the 90s isn't even fucking close. The original Candyman is like a top tier horror film that I'm a huge fan of. And the requel is like this fucking, like, just kind of woke ass, kind of, just not nearly as good or as competently made as the original film. It doesn't have the score that the original film has. It doesn't have Tony Todd for much, for like a split second at the end. And it just doesn't have, and just the actors, everybody in it's so bougie. They're all artsy fartsy people and shit, which, it's just like, it just, and you didn't even have like the original Candyman has a great detective story, mystery angle. It's like, there's a reason why the original is great for like a multitude of reasons, Virginia Madsen's amazing in that movie too. I mean, comparing those two, like, the new Candyman had good directing and cinematography and stuff, but there was just too much agenda pushing in that movie. You know what I mean? I mean, it's one thing to have one, spoilers for the new Candyman, but it's one thing to have one shitty cop at the end of the movie, but to have like 5 or 6 shitty cops that are all gonna go along with, come on, guys, give me a fucking break. I could have dealt with one, but when you're trying to say like all these cops are just bad people at the end of that, get the fuck out of here. I don't like that shit. No. So when they're going, there's no way, I don't believe that Kirby's character would have said, I think Kirby would have made fun of the requel to Candyman. I don't think she would have said it was a good film. So get the fuck out of here with that shit. So you lost me there. And it kind of retroactively hurts Kirby in the fourth film now, in a way, because now I'm gonna be thinking about that she said that, and I'm gonna be like, oh Jesus. So yeah, sorry, I'm gonna go on a lot of tangents, guys. Feel free to turn it off. But yeah, so there's that. Then you have Gail, who, once again, like I said, her look kind of takes me out of it, but she had a really great scene. I did like that whole apartment blitz attack scene. I thought that was cool. Or, I mean, it was a good build up. I like the build up, and then I like how he kind of just like runs after her. He jumps over the fucking like the ottoman, and like he goes in the air and stuff. I mean, that was kind of cool. I like how fast, and furious this Ghostface was in a way. And then we got the first two acts are pretty damn good. I'm having a good time, and then that third act happens, and it feels like it's a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon, guys. I mean, and it was easy to figure out. I had the lead, the cop, the detective. I had him pegged in the first like 15 minutes of this film. I did not find it hard to figure out at all. I as soon as he was introduced, and like maybe like 5 minutes after he was introduced, so whenever that was, I figured it out because it only made sense. Like he's the only one it could be just by going off like what's been going on in the movie thus far. It just makes sense. Like, oh yeah, clearly he is the fucking killer. You know what I mean? Because he can mess around with evidence. He has free reign to get all that stuff. And I know they said Richie acquired a lot of that stuff because he was a collector, but I'm sure his father did too. I mean, all of that stuff had to have been in evidence. So either Richie took his dad's key card and got into the evidence locker and took this shit, or the dad just got it for him. Either way, the dad was involved. It was easy to think that the dad was involved in some way. He's the only one that fucking makes sense. And now his two kids were kind of a surprise because obviously they do that fake kill out of his daughter, and that whole thing's stupid too, guys. I mean, it's like, how the fuck do you bring in a fresh body, replace your daughter's body with it or whatever, and then you're assuming that you're going to be the first one on the scene? Dude, the guy from across the street easily could have called the cops, who could have beat the ghost face, the dad, the detective there first, and then they would have found her. Obviously it was like a fake out death, and they could have ruined the whole thing. Like, that whole thing's just so unrealistic. I mean, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm sorry. So that's stupid. And the whole third act just felt like it did. It was just like, even the detective, even the dad said, "Of course it's me. Like, of course I'm the killer, right?" Because it is obvious. But it was, I don't know. I mean, and then the detective literally has Sam dead to rights. He's got a gun pointed at her. She's got a knife, and he just doesn't pull the trigger and shoot her. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, he should have at least shot her once, maybe hit her in the shoulder, something. You know what I mean? That whole third act was just, you kind of lost me there. It was cool seeing Sam go like stabby at the end. You know what I mean? She's got a little bit of her dad, Billy Loomis in her and stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it will grow on me. Maybe it will, we'll see. I'll have to watch it more, but that third act was kind of rough, And they tried to do the fake out with Kirby. I'm like, it ain't Kirby. I'm like, nice try, movie. It ain't fucking Kirby. Get out of here. So yeah, that's kind of my review for Scream 6. Overall, I had a pretty good time with it, but it does have some flaws, quite a few flaws, And I've seen people ranking Scream 6 like so high, and that's fine. It's all subjective. You know what I mean? So that's perfectly, if you love it that much, that's cool, but you got to be able to see the flaws in these movies too, guys. You know what I mean? I love Scream, but I'm not like a stan for the franchise. I can point out all the flaws and bullshit along the way, And I think this franchise is just missing Wes Craven's directing. Those beautiful wide shots that he would do. He would really build the characters more. It was believable. It didn't feel like cartoony. Like especially the first two films felt very believable. And this movie was kind of trying to make a play off of the second movie, but the difference is it was just way goofier in this film than it was in the second movie. The second movie, it felt way more believable. You believed that performance, by Laurie Metcalf. You believed her performance way more than this random, I can't even fucking remember his name, the detective from Scream 6. I can't even remember his name's not even popping up. So yeah, that's it, guys. All right, moving on. In fourth place, we have Scream 3. Scream 3. Well, that's in fourth place. I love Scream 3. It really gives Gail a chance to shine. She gets to play like this kind of, it's really her movie. I mean, she's trying to figure out the mystery, which she does in all the films, but it really leans on her heavily because Neve Campbell, I believe, was only there for like, I think it was like 2 to 3 weeks of filming. It wasn't a lot of time. So really it was Courtney Cox and Dewey, but really Courtney Cox, was Gail Weathers kind of just being that reporter and trying to figure out what was going on. And, I like that, she's investigating and she's got like her little mini me going around with her, the other Gail Weathers that's playing her in the movie. It's fun. It's more of a mystery slasher film with a good amount of comedy and stuff in there. It's way more comedic than any of the other films. Um, but I think it works. I like the mystery, and I like her relationship, her strained relationship with Dewey. You know what I mean? I think that always adds something to the films. It's good character. It feels real, especially because because David Arquette and Courtney Cox were going out in real life and they were having problems and stuff. With their relationship and all that. So I like how they added that into the films as well, because it was a strained relationship in real life and it was a strained relationship in the movies. So I love that. It really adds a lot to it. Um, the killer, Roman Bridger, I thought was really cool. The first time we ever had just one Ghostface killer. I know originally it was supposed to be two. The other lady, what is her name? I gotta look her up. The chick that gets killed off towards the end in the third act. I know originally she was supposed to be one of the other Ghostface killers, but then they changed it to just make it one, just Roman Bridger. Which, when you think about and you watch the movie, you're like, oh, it kind of makes more sense if there were two killers, but they changed it. Angelina was originally supposed to be one of the second killer, but they switched it up, so it ended up just becoming Roman. But I really like Scream 3. I like the third act. I think it's great. I love the opening kill sequence in Scream 3. I love, with Cotton Weary on the phone. And then, I like that Ghostface has the voice changer. A lot of people don't like that. I like the voice changer. I think it's cool. Um, let's see. I think, I love let's see. What else do I love about it? I love that Sydney is a crisis counselor. I think that's really good. I like that she's a crisis counselor and she's trying to help other people in bad relationships or bad, people that are thinking about hurting themselves, stuff like that. I think that makes sense for her character, trying to give back after going through a lot of traumatic stuff herself. I think, it's good that she's giving back, trying to help other people, and she's living isolated, alone by herself, away from all these other people, and I like that. It makes sense for her character. The kills and everything are toned down because this was shot when the whole Columbine thing happened and everything, so they had to tone down a lot of the gore and kills for this movie because obviously the Columbine shootings happened, so they were worried that they didn't want to make the movie too gory or whatever. And because originally, there was a whole original script for this where it was supposed to be a cult of ghost faces and it was going to take place on a campus at a school, and it was a little too close to home with what happened with Columbine, so they scrapped that whole idea, and then it turned into this movie, which I actually think I love the idea of the third Scream being like they're shooting Stab, whichever Stab movie they're on, Stab 3 or whatever it is, and the killer is the director and he's taking out all of his actors and stuff. I love that idea. I think that's great. So I think they rebounded from having to change that Kevin Williamson script up to a new script very well. um so yeah, I think they did a great job with Scream 3. It's just a little too comedic at times, a little too goofy once again in that third act, kind of like how I feel about 6. It's just like there's that one scene where Ghostface is in a room and you got like 5 people in there with him, and it's like, dude, just fucking tackle the guy and just fucking beat his ass. I mean, Jesus Christ, there's like 5 of you all in one room, just fucking take him down. I mean, I know he's got a knife, but come on, what I mean? Like there's it gets a little wonky at times, a little too goofy, but I like I like the scene where he's reading the next person that dies is whoever smells the gas, and then he blows up. I mean, that's cheesy as all fuck, but it's fun. I like it. It's cheesy, but it's fun. I saw this. Scream 3 was the first one that I saw in theaters, so I think it holds a special place in my heart too. Um, yeah, and I love it when Sydney's going through her house, on the set. Sydney's going through like her house, or I should say it was a recreation of Stu's house, right, where all the murders and stuff took place, right? And they're going through, and oh, no, it was her house. It was her house. Yeah, it was her house, I believe. I think it was Sydney's house in 3, where they're going through, and because she's going through her bedroom, and then you hear like that voiceover from Skeet Ulrich, Billy Loomis saying, about like the underwear rule or whatever he says in that moment. Or no, it was like a PG-13. I think it's, how would you settle for a PG-13? It's Sydney. It's Sydney's voice. Would you settle for a PG-13? You can hear like all the little things from the first Scream film in there. I just like that. I like that they're going through there and everything, and it's really cool. She's going through like the sets and everything. Maybe it was multiple because it is a set, so maybe it was supposed to be her house, and then also maybe a little bit of Stu's house too. I'm not sure, but I thought that whole thing was really cool. I'll have to go back and watch that scene because I feel like it was kind of a mix, but okay, so that's Scream 3. In third place, we have Scream 4. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, guys. I know this video is probably going way too long. I know people probably don't want to hear me talk about this shit for this long, but whatever, Scream 4. Yeah, Scream 4, Blast. I think this is my favorite interpretation of Ghostface. Besides maybe the first film, I just love what a savage he is. He's talking about like, he's gonna cut off her eyelids so she doesn't miss it when he stabs her in the face or whatever. Like, he's just got some savage lines in this movie. Like, I like Jill as one of the killers. I think she was I really liked her by the third act because she was just so batshit crazy, and she's throwing herself on top of the coffee table, and she's bashing her head into the picture frame and doing all this crazy shit. She's pulling her hair out. She shoots the one guy's dick off. I mean, it's just batshit crazy. I kind of like that. But it feels batshit crazy, but in a real way. I could see a chick really flipping out like that. You know what I mean? Everybody's had that crazy ex-girlfriend. It kind of reminds you of Jill. So it's like I could see that actually happening. But yeah, I like that. I thought her character was fun. I think Nev. I think all the old cast do a really good job in Scream 4. It kind of just feels like its own thing, right? I mean, technically it's a part of the rest of the franchise, but it's been so many years later, and it's like 11 years later from those other movies, and it just kind of feels like its own unique thing, and I kind of like it for that. Charlie was not one of the best killers, but he was believable. I think we've all known a guy like Charlie, kind of like that, that like kind of beta male boyfriend, like wannabe boyfriend type guy, that takes out his anger with, by stabby, you know what I mean, and shit, like, we all know that like personality type, that guy or whatever. But yeah, I thought he gave a good performance though. Culkin. Was it Rory Culkin, right? I think is his name. Rory Culkin. Yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job. And yeah, it was just overall really great kills, very bloody movie, bloody kills, very violent, which was good. Big ass buck knife too. The knife is different. It's fucking wider blade, wider handle. Like, it's just a big ass knife. Yeah, just some really cool stuff. I really liked it. The characters were all, they're fun enough. They were pretty disposable, but I did like Jill. I thought she was good in that third act when she actually reveals herself to be a killer. So I really enjoyed it. And Kirby, of course. Kirby, one of the, great character. Hayden Panettiere, or Panettiere, however you say it. Yeah, she's fucking great, and she's fucking really hot in this too, man. Look at her, goddamn. But yeah, she is a great character, and she was great back then too. She was such a good actress. I feel like she wasn't nearly as good of an actress in the sixth film, but damn, back then, man, she was just killing it. Very charismatic, you know. Um, but yeah, I really like Kirby. Kirby was a great character to introduce to the franchise, and I'm glad they kept her alive. I wish they had done more with her in six. You know, maybe she'll be better in seven. You know, we'll see. All right, in second place, Scream 2, Electric Boogaloo. Great steelbook too, man. Love the steelbook. Yep. Scream 2, fantastic. Another great opening. I love the opening to Scream 2. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention Scream 4, worst opening in my opinion. I really don't like that opening. The opener in 6 and 5 were both better than 4. And then, yeah, I think all the openings are better than 4. than 4. I don't like the whole, we're going to keep doing the same and, you know, the same beginning over and over, like keep faking you out kind of thing. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but compared to all the other openings, no. You know, just no way. Scream 2, yeah, I love it. Love the whole opening in the movie theater. It really suits the film. We're in the theater and everything. Oh, I forgot to mention that for Scream 6. I love that about Scream 6. The entire shrine to Ghostface, and you get to see all the things, all the different movies. You know, you get to see the Letterman jacket on the guy when he's tied up from the first Scream film. You get to see the TV set from the first film. You get all the Ghostface costumes with their knives, and you know, I think they had Randy's clothes in there or something too from Randy. There was just a bunch of shit in there. It was really cool. I like that whole shrine scene in 6. There's a lot of good stuff in 6. There really is. There's a lot of good shit in there. But Scream 2, yeah, great opening kills. Really love it. Jada Pinkett Smith, you know, man, she's when she's up there and she's like, oh, just falls down and shit. It's very over the top, but I liked it. It worked. It really worked. I liked it. You know, she gave it her all. And then the guy that gets stabbed in the cheek in the bathroom, you know, I thought that was really great too. That's Omar Epps, right? I think that's who that is. I'm gonna look it up now. I think that's Omar Epps. Yep, Omar Epps. Yeah, he gets stabbed in the fucking, like right, was it in the temple? Like right in the temple or in the ear, or somewhere around here, wherever he gets stabbed, he just falls down, man. That shit was really good. And then I like how Ghostface puts on his leather jacket, but it's got the blood all over it. I think this is the film, Scream 2, where everybody just steps up their game. Like, I think Neve Campbell's acting is fucking so good. She was great in the first film, but she even steps up. You can tell she's got more confidence and stuff too going into this. Because I believe Neve Campbell, when she was in the first Scream movie, I think she was only like 18 or something. She was very young, you know, so you can just tell she's more confident in this film. I think David Arquette is great. I love how he brings that limp because he got stabbed in the spine and severed a nerve, you know, or he got stabbed in the back and it severed a nerve, whatever. I love that he has that limp, you know. Fucking man, Courtney Cox is Gale. She looks so hot in this too, man. I love the red streaks in her hair and stuff. She looks sexy as fuck. So does Neve. I mean, they both look great. You know, and I think they're all just, you can tell like the confidence level on all of them is off the charts. You know, they're just bringing it. Then you got Sarah Michelle Gellar. I love that scene where she gets killed off in the sorority house. That was great. You got Mickey as one of the killers. You know, he's great. He's just so over the top. You know, Oliphant, Timothy Olyphant. He's fucking fantastic, especially that third act reveal. You know. Wait for the trial, you know. I mean, you know, it's you know, and then she's just like, you know, Mrs. Loomis is just like, oh, Mickey, there's not gonna be a trial, and just shoots him is just so good. I just love that whole fucking scene. Great third act in Scream 2, man. I love it. The scene where with the FBI agents, they're driving in the car, and the FBI agent crashes the car, and that fucking that pipe just goes through his face or through his eye or whatever, and he's twitching on the car. That was a great kill. Yeah, Mrs. Loomis, man, Debbie Salt, she's just so fucking good, man. I mean, I, I love her as one of the killers. I think she's one of the best, man. She's great. She plays Psycho very well, very, very well. Um, yeah, I thought she did a fantastic job. Yeah, Laurie Metcalf. Laurie Metcalf did a great job as Debbie Salt. Um, who else is there? Yeah, Timothy Olyphant did great. Mentioned him. The opening kill, third act. Um, yeah, it was just great. I like Dewey and Gail's chemistry with each other. Like I said, they were going out in real life, so it made sense. And yeah, just overall a really fun time. Jamie Kennedy, so fucking funny in this movie. Um, you know, Billy Loomis. Billy Loomis was a rat face, homo repressed mama's boy. It was just so good, man. So many good lines. Yeah, Randy is just fantastic. It pisses people off because he got killed in the film, but they had to kill off somebody, so I think it made sense to be Randy. But yeah, of course I was sad about it. I do like that they found a way to bring him back in the third film, though. I thought that was pretty clever with the VHS tape. But yeah, Scream 2, man, excellent. Just excellent all the way around. My second favorite of the franchise. Just great. And then, of course, number one is the original Scream. Come on, guys. This is one of my favorite horror films of all time. Easily, I love Scream. The best opening. Love the opening. Drew Barrymore cooking popcorn. She gets the phone call, and I love the game that they play. I love how she gets the Friday the 13th question wrong. That's great. Sometimes I'll watch reaction videos to Scream because it's fun. And people always get that question wrong too, because there are people that aren't just familiar with the Friday the 13th franchise or whatever, and they always get that wrong too. So it's really fun watching them react to that. Like, what? It's not Jason? It's really funny. Yeah, just great, man. But Drew Barrymore sells it too when she's getting stabbed and she's, her parents come home and she's like, Mom, and she can't say anything. And I know a lot of people say, oh, she should have just thrown the phone. But first of all, guys, she was stabbed multiple times. I don't even know if she could have thrown the phone or whatever, okay? I can barely throw a fucking empty toilet paper roll into the damn basket, from a foot away. I'll miss that. So, let alone her trying to throw the phone directly at her parents or whatever, after being stabbed multiple times. I don't know. I was fine with, it felt realistic, honestly. Billy Loomis and Stu Macher are two of my favorite, movie serial killers of all time, two of the best villains of all time. They're great. Everything, from why'd you have to hit me with the phone, Dick? And just like, did you really call the police? You bet your sorry ass I did. My mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me. It's just like, there's so many good lines, And like I said, like Neve Campbell from such a young age was just such a great actress, man. She's killing it. This movie, she was great in The Craft. She's just a good actress, just solid, That's why it's like Melissa Barrera. It's a hard thing for her to top Neve Campbell, I don't want to compare her, but it's hard not to because Neve Campbell's just so high up there for me, you know what I mean? Jenna Ortega's bringing it though. I like Jenna Ortega. But Melissa Barrera was better in the sixth film than she was the fifth film. So, she's, she's doing better. But yeah, going back to Scream, the original Scream, man, just Wes Craven's directing. Like I said, I love Wes Craven's directing. I think it's perfect. He really knows how to ramp up the suspense. Got Kevin Williamson's writing is great. You have a lot of improv lines in this movie, Like I know when Dewey and Courtney Cox, when they almost get hit by the car and they go tumbling down, and Courtney Cox is like, is that what you're looking for? And she's pointing to the car, and Dewey just looks at her and he's like, my entire life or whatever. I believe that line was improv. Um, Dewey holding the flashlight up to his face. When he's trying to get Gail to go with him, on the walk or whatever, that was improv by David Arquette. Like, so there's a lot of good improving, a lot of good, Kevin Williamson's writing is still great, but there is some good improv, like, lines. Like, I think a lot of Stu's lines were all improvised. Because Billy, Skeet Ulrich accidentally did hit him with the phone, and that wasn't supposed to be a part of it. He accidentally hit him with the phone for real, and that's why. And then I think that's when Stu improvised the line, of "Why'd you hit me with the phone, Dick?" Which ended up being perfect. I mean, it was great. It's one of the most memorable, most quotable lines of all time now. I mean, people love that line, especially in the horror community. So it's like, yeah. Randy, great character. We all can relate to Randy going to the video store. I love that scene in the video store where Billy and Stu corner him and stuff. Because we can all relate to being that nerdy person going through all the VHS tapes, going through all the horror movies and everything. I love that. I love that scene. What else? Yeah, the third act, Bloodbath, is great. I love it. They're stabbing each other. They're just fucking completely unhinged. Your mother was a slutbag, horror flashes shit all over town like she was Sharon Stone or something. Like, I love it. It's so brutal and gritty and just gross. You can literally hear the blood drops dripping from because there's so much blood. Wes Craven used so much blood in that third act. You can hear it dripping from Stu's fingers onto the ground. You can actually hear it in the scene because there's just so much blood everywhere. They just went fucking berserk. I forgot how many gallons of blood. That was 50 gallons of blood or something. It was a ridiculous amount of blood that they used because they had to keep redoing the scene too and all that stuff. So it's just insane. And they had to tone down some scenes, as I'm sure a lot of you know, Scream fans out there. I mean, they had to trim down, they had to up the frame rate of, that scene where Drew Barrymore is hung from the tree and that her innards are all outside and stuff. They had to, up the frame rate, while it's, panning in on her quicker, so they didn't show as much of that. When the guy gets his guts cut out, or Drew Barrymore's boyfriend, you actually see the pile of guts and steam coming off of it in the unrated cut. When Tatum gets her head squished by the garage door, you actually get more frames of that in the unrated cut too. So it's just there's a lot of extended gore sequences and stuff in the unrated cut if you happen to see it. It's just hard to find. You can watch it on YouTube though. Henry Winkler's fantastic as the principal. He's so good, man. I love Henry Winkler. When he's talking to the students, and he's like, "You little shits, we should cut you up and show you for the little, what does he say? Should cut you up and show you for the little desensitized shits that you are." You know what I mean? Yeah, that's great. He's just got so many great lines. When he goes out there and it's Wes Craven is dressed up as Freddy Krueger, that was cool too. And Henry Winkler's like, "Not you, Fred." That was a nice little paying homage there, because Wes Craven obviously directed A Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff. So, yeah, there's just so much good shit in there. Sorry guys, I told you I'm gonna ramble because I love Scream. I really do love the franchise and everything. For the most part, the last two movies, I've liked some things that they've done, but I've also really disliked some things that they've done, so it's tough. But the first four films directed by Wes Craven, and so I just love them, I do, even with their flaws and all, so it is what it is. But, yeah, Gail Weathers, what a bitch. She plays such a good bitch in this movie, you know what I mean? "Jesus, come on, my name's not Jesus." The cameraman says that. I love that line. Kenny the cameraman. I want that top story, that jacket that he's got on. I think that was also in Scream 6. That jacket was there, that top story jacket with top story 3 times on the back or whatever. I want that jacket. That's so cool. Um, Oh, that was another kill that was extended in the unrated cut when he gets his throat slit. Apparently, the guy's face looked so realistic that people had a problem with it because it looked like a guy really got his throat slit and he was bleeding out or whatever. Like people actually thought it was almost real because it looked so good, the practical effect and everything in his face when it happened. So they kind of trimmed that down a little bit too. I thought that was interesting. There's a lot of fun facts about Scream. I mean, obviously, most of us fans have watched the commentary multiple times, so we all know, you know. Oh, and also, there's also you get 2 bonus documentaries on this set too, which is kind of cool. So you might want to check out those documentaries there. Still Screaming and Scream: The Inside Story. Those are 2 documentaries you get with this set. It's Scream, Scream 2, Scream 3, and then the 2 documentaries. And this was only like $13.50 on Amazon. I don't know if it still is, but it was. Even its regular price is only $14.99, so it's worth it. Even if you just get the 2 documentaries, I think it's worth it. But yeah, going back to Scream, I think I said everything. I think Billy Loomis and Stu are just 2 of the best, man. There's just Billy Loomis is just so Skeet Ulrich just gives such a great performance. I mean, he kept himself isolated in a hotel room from the other cast members and stuff for a good period of time just to get in the headspace of a serial killer and stuff. And I think he would like post like articles and newspaper cutouts and stuff on his walls too of like, other killings and stuff that have happened. So I don't know. I think he went a little method with it and everything from what from what I've heard. So he really got in the headspace of a serial killer. So that's why when everybody that watches it, they're like, well, he's the killer, obviously, right? Because he looks like a serial killer. Like even his facial expressions, everything comes off like a serial killer. So it's so obvious that it can't be true. And then when it is true, you're like, fuck, obviously it's him, right? But they give you so many good red herrings. I mean, a lot of people, when I'm watching people react to the first Scream, a lot of them think it's Dewey because he's so gullible and dopey and whatever, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, there's something off because he's too nice, he's too whatever. He's probably, a lot of people think he's the killer, which is really funny to me. And usually people don't suspect Stu until the very end, because there's only so many people left, so that's when people are like, oh, maybe it must be Stu, because there's just really only so many other candidates, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay. So yeah, this thing, yeah, Gail does such a good job playing such a bitch in this though. I love her. I love Tatum too. Tatum's great. She's great as that best friend, what is this? I spit on your garage, cut Casper, that's a wrap. Like, she's just got so many, what is this? One of those Wes Carpenter movies. Yeah, I mean, she's got so many good lines. That's the thing. All the characters are so well developed, and they have so many memorable lines that it's like when I watch Scream 5 and 6, I just feel like the characters don't have those same memorable lines, that same dialogue, that sharp dialogue that Kevin Williamson brings. It's kind of what it's missing. You know what I mean? And those original Scream films aren't trying to put any little agendas or anything in there, whereas I feel like some of these, the 5th and the 6th one feels like there's a little bit of that in there. Back then they weren't really messing around with that. They were just trying to make a good movie and make good characters and stuff like that. There wasn't anything else really going on, but I don't know. Like I said, I still enjoy all the Scream movies for what they are, but you'll never top the original Scream for me, Yeah, I think I brought up everybody. Obviously, Neve Campbell's me. I've been talking about Neve Campbell the entire time. She's excellent. She's great as Sidney Prescott. But yeah, sorry if I missed anything. This video is already almost like fucking 50 minutes long. So, but I wanted to share a little bit of my love for Scream, and I figured I'd do a ranking and a review and just throw all that shit in there at the same time. But yeah, let me know down below in the comments what you think about Scream and the Scream 6, please. Be careful with spoilers though, guys, because this movie's still fairly new. Maybe just give me a rough idea of what you thought about Scream 6. Well, actually, I guess you can spoil it, right? Because this is a spoiler filled video. So actually, yeah, no, feel free to fucking spoil it away in the comments because this is a spoiler filled video. So it should be, the comments should also be spoiler filled too. You know what I mean? So whatever, leave whatever you want down the you know what I mean? Let me know what you think of Scream 6. Let me know what you think about the whole franchise. Give me your rankings. I really would be interested in your rankings down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. And this is Anthony's Horror More, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.